Hello guys, it's Mike Young here, and in this video we're going to be going over how to pre-plan a draft strategy. So over here you can see a spreadsheet of a mock draft strategy spreadsheet where we're going to be going over each role's comfort champions. We're going to be creating different team comps that synergize with each role's champions, as well as we're going to pick bans by doing some easy multi-OPGG scouting based off of OPGG. And this is based off of a solo queue game where we're doing some scouting. Of course, you would do this to mimic your opponent's OPGGs that you're playing against in a tournament. So keep that in mind. So here we have Swain. A Swain one trick. We're definitely going to ban that. You're going to see this a lot actually in tournaments, where a Swain one trick will come up, or say a Zed one trick come up. That's an easy ban. That's the first ban. And then you might think about, okay, so next we see a LeBlanc main on the side. You also want to look at the recent champions played. So he's a LeBlanc main in this situation. So we can actually, in some circumstances, if you know that this guy is a LeBlanc lane, then you can build a team comp that is really good against it. For example, Malzahar is really good against LeBlanc. Tanks are good against LeBlanc. Or you can just ban it out. In this situation, we can ban out Yone, we can ban out ᛎᛎᛎᛎᛎᛎᛎ and Rek'Sai, or we can ban out this top laner, which is General Sniper. General Sniper has a big champion pool, so it's hard to ban him out, but it's generally good to ban out Riven against them. So certain players, you can ban out based off of their expertise on previous games that familiar knowledge of that. Specifically though, we're in this game, my top 3 bans would be Swain, and then it would be ᛎᛎᛎᛎᛎ, and then it would be Riven. So we're banning out 2 of the strong enemy champions that they have a ton of master strategies with, like expertise with, and then we're banning out ᛎᛎᛎᛎ in this case, mainly because it's generally good to ban out niche picks like ᛎᛎᛎᛎ that you're not too used to playing against. You're not used to playing against ᛎᛎᛎᛎ because of the stealth, of how fast and how tricky his clone can be. So that's a good idea. So in this case, this is just going to be a very basic example, which is ᛎᛎᛎᛎᛎ, Riven, and then afterwards we're going to ban out the Swain because of the one trick. Of course, that's going to be more standard when you're playing tournament play, is that you're going to be seeing more one tricks or more people that obviously main a champion. Now, this is where the important part comes into play, where you definitely want your players, all your players, to pick specific champions that are comfortable but also good for team play, that have good versatility. So for example, in this example we can see Aatrox is a bruiser top, and then you have a completely different champion like Kennen, which is an AoE AP team fighter, and then you have 2 tanks, 3 tanks, and then you have an early game poke / split pusher type of champion in the top lane. So that's a good example because we can create different types of team comps with different win conditions with this. So let's start with the first team comp. So let's make a mock early game based team comp that's centered around poke. So we want Jace, specifically because Jace is really strong in laning phase as well as poke. So if you have really good top lane Jace player, or really good top lane snowball carry player, then you can put any champion here. And then you would want a supportive type of engage top laner, that jungler that can path to the top lane. So for example, like Xin Zhao is specifically really good at this. Then you want definitely want a mid laner that can possibly roam up to top lane and help with dives, skirmishes in the jungle, covers. So we're going to put an Ahri here. And we would definitely want an AP mid laner because we have a carry, AD carry in top lane, and we already have an AD champion in jungle. Afterwards, we want a safe bot lane. This is very important. We want a safe bot lane because we're playing to top lane already. So we're gonna pick Ezreal, pretty safe bot lane. And then here, you can go Ezreal, Leona, because Ezreal's pretty self-sufficient on his own. Leona this way can just scale, be CC engaged for the late game because we already have decent amount of damage. We don't need an enchanter because we're not reliant on like a AD carry, hyper carry. We can have like a Leona here. We can have a Thresh here is fine. We can even have a Yuumi here. Yuumi is a little bit greedy because you might get punished, but if they don't have very good bot lane champions, then you can go Yuumi for sure. So that's one team comp example. Another team comp example could be to play to bot side of the map. So we can draft a tank in the top lane, very self-sufficient, and then we can pick, you know, Jarvan or Engage in the jungle. We can have a mid lane control mage to do a lot of damage. For AD carry, this time we can have more of a carry, like a hyper carry. So like Vayne, Lulu. That's a huge hyper carry. So this is definitely playing to late game scaling, bot lane hyper carry. We also like change the Shen and Ornn like interchangeably. We also change Jarvan, and for example here, this can be like Xin Zhao, or this can be like Gragas. Like they're all very strong like teamfight champions that can peel decently well, create disruption frontline as well for your hyper carries, right? And then another different type of team comp that you can go is a poke team comp. So for example, we have like Ezreal. Ezreal's a really good poker, but you can also have Ezreal and Varus because Varus also pokes. Then you can have like a range support, which is like you can have, in this case, Nami for poke. You can have Karma if your support plays Karma. Specifically as well, Zoe is very strong at poke. We can have some sort of disengage jungler or frontline tank jungler, and then we can have either stack the poke in top lane, or we can go with a tank that just protects the original pokers, Zoe and Ezreal. So that's the type of stuff that you can go. You can also just have like some disengage instead of a poke support if you feel like you already have enough poke over here. So you can have like some disengage like Lulu, Thresh, Alistar. Alistar's not necessarily like huge disengage, but it's a disruption type of champion. So that's a good example as well. We can also have a jungle carry. So this is not as popular, but if your jungler is really mechanically skilled, you can definitely do this. You have like a jungle carry, like Kindred Graves, and then you have like a top lane supporter type champion, like Malphite. You can even have like a Kennen, because you're gonna have a lot of, you know, AD damage. This can be Malphite, Kennen, this can be Shen, this can be Ornn. You definitely want a mid laner that can set up the Kindred and Graves. You want a CC type mid laner. You want a CC type AD carry because you already have an AD carry, another AD carry in the game. So, for example, Varus, Jhin. You can have a CC type support because you, generally speaking, supports that can engage benefit more when they have a really strong follow-up jungler. You can roam together, get vision together, set up dragons, etc. So this is a really strong comp for a jungle carry. Now this is the important part to remember, is that you don't necessarily need to have these specific champions to fill in the gaps. You just need to understand the fundamentals. Take a look here. Top side champions are more supportive utility based. Bot side champions are greedier damage based. In this situation, now we have a poke team comp. So we have really greedy, you know, Zoe, Ezreal, Varus. And then you can either choose to have supportive support to protect the poke, jungle to protect the poke to allow them to have easier time in team fights, or you can just stack up with 3 poke, or you can have just 2 poke and have another protector like Ornn. Now here's another example. Malphite, Kennen, really good engage. Annie, really good engage. Varus, really good engage. Leona, Alistair, really good engage. And then you have a jungler that just can run around every single different lane and have a ton of gank threat everywhere. So this is playing to the jungle win condition. Okay, I'm gonna give, all my jungler the resources, or all the resources to my jungler. I'm gonna have all the setup in my lanes. This guy carries, everyone else sets up really well. So that's a different type of win condition as well. And this champion doesn't have to be Kindred Graves. It can be, for example, it can be Eve. It can be Lee Sin. It can be even like Vi. But in that case, if you have Vi, then you're collectively just engaging and just going forward rather than playing around, Kindred auto attacks and Graves kiting. So there are different types of win conditions. You definitely want to have team comps for your specific top jungle, mid, AD carry, support, comfort champions, and list them out. Gather around, list them out in a spreadsheet with the screen share on Discord, or another way to do it if you're in person. You can use like a board. That's what we did in LCS a ton. We just used a whiteboard and we wrote it out, or we used a projector and we wrote out our comfort champions. Because believe it or not, a lot of the times when you're a player, you're focused on your own comfort champions. You don't think about how your comfort champions synergize with others. This is the important thing to practice. Alright guys, hope you guys learned a ton in this video. Definitely apply this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.